Hey guys, Thomas DeSilla Jr. here, aka Mustache Tom, here to review the movie Life, featuring Jake Gyllenhaal, Rebecca Ferguson, and Ryan Reynolds, and a few other actors as well. So, uh, from the trailer, I kind of thought this was going to be something like Alien, and um, it kind of gives off that vibe, at least later on in the movie. But it does start out pretty slow with these characters, kind of getting these quick snippets of these characters. We see like Reynolds' character is sort of this. Uh, he's sort of like playing off of like his role off of Deadpool, I would say, without breaking the actual fourth wall. Um, Sort of like that. Jake Gyllenhaal's character doesn't really become like an active character until like I want to say like halfway through the movie. Until then, he's just sort of there, just sort of observing things. Anyway, uh, speaking of observing things, we have a character named Q who's observing this life form that they picked up or found, and they spend a few days with it. I think it was either 12 to 15, and around the 12th day, it grows in size. And there's this boring table scene, uh, and you get to again get more of that pretty poor banter between these characters. I won't lie, it's not really that enthralling. Um, they could have really done something with that. We get day 15, which is where things start popping off. I would suggest is the term I would use. Um, Ryan Reynolds has his character is like warning Q about getting close to the life form, and right after that, Q decides what's the best solution. Let's zap this thing, and it touches to him, breaks his fingers, um, and this uh, transformation sequence of him getting attacked. This is 30 minutes into the film, so the past 20 to 30 minutes has been sort of this really slow build up, poor character development, poor character interaction, and now we're finally getting into the meat of the actual movie. So just be prepared for that if you're gonna decide to watch this movie if you haven't already. So this thing is smart. It uses a knife to escape. It kills this rat within seconds or moments. Ryan Reynolds gets in there in this little lock containment area where the life form is. He's actually the first character to die. I thought, based off of the trailer, they kept trying to push like, oh, it's gonna be the black guy that dies first. I think they were trying to build up like that sort of stereotype in horror movies. But I think that was a trick of the trailer to say, hey, he actually makes it a lot further into the film, although his usefulness isn't that much. I mean, actually, it gets kind of confusing with this character in particular, which I'll bring up a little bit later. But, anyways, it breaks out. Uh, so yeah, Ryan Reynolds dies, and the alien gets bigger after that moment. And then it escapes through the vent, and then they find out that communication is down, and we get a character named Kat who's trying to fix the ship from the outside, and then we see that the alien actually gets out there, which they decided that earlier in the movie they named Calvin, like a school student named it that because of the school, I guess. Anyway, um, so she decides that since this thing is attached to her, that she's gonna let it kill her. But she tries to make it at least to the door that Jake Gyllenhaal's character, is at. Um, so it kills her eventually, and then it tries to get in through the thrusters, and then they blast through the thrusters. They run out of thrusting fuel, so it's able to get in. Uh, And then we have some more slow character moments with the last four characters, blaming each other or blaming uh, the characters who were a part of it. Uh, so we have that from Q, because he was the guy doing all of the observing. Uh, and somehow the alien got attached to his leg. I don't know, like it got inside, but I don't know how it got attached to his leg at some point, but it did. So now it gets bigger again. Cho ends up getting in this escape pod, and it tries to break through, and he manages to survive that encounter. But we see that now Q has died due to all that stuff happening to him, from his arm getting broke to it attaching to his leg later on somehow. Um, and this alien Calvin is turning into sort of this like tentacle based monster. Um, so like it wraps around and uses its tentacle like shape to like wrap around Q at some point, like after he's dead. And I assume it was doing that to get even bigger, but I don't know. Anyways, they discovered that the ship is gonna push them into deep space. So this other ship comes in and attaches to their ship, and they say like, "Oh, they're gonna like, they're here not to like rescue us or whatever. They're here to, make sure this thing doesn't leave." So Cho doesn't know this, so he leaves the escape pod, which is broken by the way. So he would have not been able to escape that way, and he's trying to get to these other individuals, and the alien beats him there, taking him out as well. So now we're down to two characters, Jake's character, and I believe the lady's name was Calvin. I think that was her name. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure we follow these two characters from the last moment. Jake chooses to be the sacrificial lamb of the two. He says that he can use this sort of escape pod and drive it out into space. Uh, and this is, I don't really like the ending to this movie, but I'll spoil it. So, spoilers coming up for this movie relatively soon. Um, so she also has to get into like a little miniature ship, and then they're both heading out in these two little ships, and she has control of hers, he has control of his, and somehow, some way, she doesn't realize that she's the one that's ending up going to deep space, and Jake's he was using like these flashlights to like distract the monster, and like he had one more when he was already in the ship with the monster, or the alien, I should say, and then like it started to like wrap around him and stuff, and it like started to move. I assume it started to move his ship, but I thought from what it looked like, it looked like it wasn't enough to like change the outcome. But again, I don't know how that affected Calvin's ship. That doesn't make any sense to me. There was like no way that those two ships were connected, because the manual control was for that ship alone, I would assume. So Calvin should have been fine too at the very least, but that is not the case here. Instead, we get to see her float off into deep space, and for some reason, we end up seeing the creature land on Earth. Spoilers. And then these fishermen from wherever they end up trying to get it out, and that's the end of the movie. Like the ending makes no logical sense to me, and the beginning of this movie takes way too long to get into, and I would say only like the middle-ish section is okay to decent at most, where the actual thrill ride of people dying is okay. But even that, it's like, yeah, I didn't really care about these characters, so this movie wasn't that great at the very end of the day, and mm, it's a shame. I mean, you have like a really interesting concept because it's sort of following like the whole alien thing, like I said. So, you have a really interesting concept, and then like you fall apart on each section. It's like there's like a screw up in each section. So, I would give this movie a 3 out of 10. It's just a messy movie. I feel the ending just falls apart, and the beginning's just way too slow. Again, in the middle, the middle, since it's the only decent part, actually gets weaker because of the beginning and the end, if that makes sense, at least for me. So, with that being said, um, maybe this movie was enjoyed by more other people. I personally didn't like this movie. So, again, that's a 3 out of 10 for me. If you want to see the movie, it's been out for a little bit now, a few days. So, check it out. You might like it, I guess, maybe. I don't know. So, with that being said, I'm Thomas Solo Jr., aka Mustache Chum, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!